Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz, your host of the Raiders Board, and I believe that the Las Vegas Raiders could sign free safety Justin Simmons this offseason. And coming up here on today's show, I'm going to tell you why. But before we break all that down, today's show sponsor is Panda Supes, and I got to give a huge shout out to them for helping me get into the best shape of my life during my wedding. And I got my honeymoon coming up here too, but sometimes when we drink some beers, it's not as easy to get it all to go down. So if you want to get started with Panda Supes, use code Raiders for 20% off at pandasupes.com. I am not the only one that's going to sit up here and go, I believe that free safety is one of the biggest needs, if not the biggest need, for the Las Vegas Raiders. And I know that John Spytek and I know that Pete Carroll have been really preaching this offseason the word compete. And Pete literally said just a few weeks ago that if we basically have an opportunity to get better, we're going to go out there and we are trying to get better. And I don't think that I'm the only one that says this, because I felt the exact same way when the Raiders went out and got Jermaine Pratt. Jermaine Pratt, to me, was the best linebacker and is the best linebacker on this team. And I think if the Silver and Black were to go out and get Justin Simmons, it instantly makes this football team better. So you know what I want to do? Just in case Simmons does ever Google his name, I want him to see this video, and I want him to see that Raider Nation's got his back and wants him in silver and black. So if you want the Raiders to go out and get free safety Justin Simmons, I want you to hit that like button, because I'm telling you this, if you go out and you get him, it makes this defense so much better, and I can't emphasize enough of how much better it really does truly make this defense. So coming up here on today's show, I'm going to tell you why Simmons could be an option for the Raiders, and I'm not sitting up here saying that I had a source tell me that the Raiders are interested in Justin Simmons. I'm sitting up here looking at you saying I would be shocked if the Raiders aren't interested in Justin Simmons based on the information that we have in today's video. Let's go to the first reason why I think that could end up happening. It's a huge team need. I will continuously pound on this table and say that free safety is the Raiders' biggest team need, and we need to make sure that our secondary is very well protected, because I like Isaiah Pola-Mao, and I think that he can be a good safety number 3, and he can be a solid starter. But I really do truly believe that he is more of a strong safety and a little bit less of a free safety. Like, go back and watch the tape on Pola-Mao. He has gotten better and better and better, and I respect the hell out of him for that. What I am a little bit concerned about, though, is we're kind of like throwing him into the fire, and I don't want to ruin the development that he has had as a player, because if he loses his confidence and he loses his swagger, he's going to lose the player that we know and that we love. And I know that the Raiders are trying to replace Tre'von Moehrig. If you told me which guy has a better opportunity to replace Moehrig, is it Justin Simmons, who's basically been better than Moehrig his entire career, or Isaiah Pola-Mao? Like, I have upside, and I have hope for Pola-Mao. But to me, you have to make sure that back end of this defense is solidified, and I think Justin Simmons helps you in order to do that. The biggest reason why I think that the Raiders could go out and get Simmons, coaching connection. And you know what? He doesn't only have just one really critical coaching connection to the Las Vegas Raiders. He actually has 2. Let's talk about the first one here. So for those that do not know, Joe Woods is the pass game coordinator and defensive backs coach for the Las Vegas Raiders, who was actually the very first DB coach that Justin Simmons had with the Denver Broncos back in 2015 and 2016. Also, though, Woods was Denver's defensive coordinator from 2017 to 2018. If you haven't picked up on how important coaching connections are to Pete Carroll, to John Spytek, to the Las Vegas Raiders in 2025, then you are definitely not subscribed to the Raiders Report. And quite frankly, I need you to wake up here a little bit and get with the program. The second coaching connection that Simmons has with the Silver and Black is Brian Stark. He was with the Denver Broncos for 13 years from 2012 to 2024. Now, he didn't get that senior director of college scouting role until 2016, which I get it, is after when Denver went out and drafted Justin Simmons. But to me, I'm looking at the fact that the Raiders brought in Brian Stark. They decided to, let Champ Kelly go, who we could all say this. I have the utmost respect for Champ Kelly, and I think he's a hell of an assistant general manager in the NFL. And I'll also say this, though. For the Raiders to move on from Champ and bring in a new guy in Brian Stark, who now is the right-hand man to John Spytek and the new assistant general manager, we're talking about we got a guy in the front office and a guy in our coaching staff that both have a legitimate connection to Justin Simmons. Again, I'm not sitting up here telling you that I had a source tell me, hey, the Raiders are interested in Justin Simmons. I'm simply sitting up here going, well, the Raiders did XYZ this offseason, and I'm putting XYZ together, plus those two coaching connections, plus all the other reasons you're going to see here on today's show. And I'm going to say again, I would be shocked if the Raiders aren't interested in signing this man right here. So here's going to be the pinned comment on today's show. I want you to give me a yes, or I want you to give me a no. Would Justin Simmons be the best free safety on the Raiders roster? You're about to get hit with a YouTube ad break. While that ad is playing, I want you to scroll on down and give me your answer. My answer coming up here in just a second. Instead of yes, I should say duh, because I do think it is that simple of an answer of a duh. I think Justin Simmons is the best free safety on this squad. And just like we said about guys like Jermaine Pratt, if you feel like that there is a player that instantly makes you better and that instantly could be a starter on your team, I don't see how you're not at least somewhat interested in that. And maybe Simmons is going to wait until training camp because he doesn't feel like he needed to be a part of minicamp, the mandatory, OTAs, mandatory minicamp, and all that type of stuff. But if you're the Raiders, you at least got to be kicking the tires on Simmons and just see if he's interested in being a member of the Silver and Black. Let's go to the next reason here of why I really do think that the Raiders could go out and sign Simmons. He's a reliable veteran. And when we've seen some of the moves that the Raiders have made this offseason, they've had their eyes on a lot of guys that I would consider reliable veterans. And when you see how many games that Simmons has played, he's started at least 12 games every year since 2017. So not only has he shown that he's reliable on the field, he's also shown that he's reliable to, stay on the field. He's played 134 games. And he started 124. Simmons has had at least 2 interceptions in every year of his entire football career. Like, that is a long, long time. Where I think when we talk about some of the best safeties in the NFL over the past decade, I don't know how you don't bring up Justin Simmons' name as being one of the best safeties over the last decade. Tackling numbers is pretty unlucky. But he does a lot of different things. 32 picks, the 71 PBUs. He is that true center fielder that I think that this defense does truly need. And I get it. He's 31. He's about to be 32 years old. And he might not be playing the best football of his career. But I do really think that when you have somebody that has the respect in the locker room and has done it so many times in the NFL, and you combine that with somebody who's a great defensive backs coach in Pete Carroll, and then you combine that with guys like Joe Woods, and then you have the Brian Stark connection, and we have so many young players on this roster. When you have a lot of young players, like, I would love for Isaiah Pola-Mao to learn underneath Justin Simmons. And then when you look at his coverage stats from last season, they're really impressive. Quite frankly, actually, that quarterback rating against is one of the better ones he's had in his career. The yards allowed by Simmons is actually the lowest that he's ever allowed in his entire career. So is he getting up there in age? Yes. But you can't say that he's not reliable. And I don't think that you can say that he wouldn't be the best free safety on the Las Vegas Raiders right now. For those 3 reasons, I think they should go out and get him. But I got 2 more reasons coming up here in just a moment. I got 1 reason why you need to be watching this show. It's because we're always down to hook the nation up with a good deal. And I feel like I got a great deal right now thanks to Panda Sups. Use code Raiders for 20% off at pandasups.com. And if you spend over $125, you're going to get free shipping if you live in the U.S., and you're going to get some free creatine. Now, y'all know how much I love the taste and the flavor of Panda Sups protein, and they got some new flavors as well that are going to really knock your socks off, where, quite frankly, kind of feels like a cheat day. So we got peanut butter cookies, chocolate brownie whip, toasted honey graham, 25 grams of protein, 0 grams of sugar, 100% pure whey isolate with 110 to 120 calories per scoop. And what I love, it's brand new. And when you work out, I'm the type of person where I want to try to get the most out of my workout. So you could treat yourself to the same delicious, high-quality fuel you're obsessed with from Panda Sups, but now in a faster-absorbing, ultra-lean formula that delivers maximum protein with macro-friendly flavor explosions. I don't know if this is true or not, but I like to connect dots, obviously, for anybody that watches the show. I told the owner of Panda Sups, and him and I were talking recently about like the wedding. I was talking to him about my honeymoon. I almost feel like he invented this for me, because this is the perfect protein for what I'm trying to do. Keep some of my muscle, keep my muscle lean, but also shedding some of that fat, or To be honest, it's probably happy dads and beer at this point. Let's go to another reason here of why I think that the Raiders could go out and get Justin Simmons. So we've talked about team need. We've talked about coaching connections. We've talked about his relationship and his ability to stay on the field and what that could mean for some of these younger players. AFC West experience. And it might be a little bit of a cherry on top, I'm not going to lie to you, but one person that really, truly values AFC West experience that is a part of this organization, his name is Mark Davis, and he is the owner of the Raiders, in case you didn't know. He played 8 years in the AFC West, and for Simmons, I don't think it's one of those things where the Raiders are worried about angering Mark, because Mark has the full utmost trust in this regime and in the guys that are right now around him to make the right decisions, because they've been making the right decisions all along. But I also think that there's always part of that where you could do a little thing that just makes your boss a little bit happy, makes the guy that owns the team that you know is going to be on board with it. Mark Davis, I'm telling you right now, with open arms, with the amount of time that Simmons has played in the AFC West, Mark does really, truly value that kind of stuff. And I know a lot of these old school coaches do too, because there is a different feel when you know your division rivals and when you know those teams that you're going up against, because you play those teams 6 times in the year. That's a very valuable thing. Again, cherry on top. Let's go to the final reason here is they got the money to do it. $36.2 million in salary cap space, the 5th most in the NFL. So why do I think that the Raiders could go out and get Justin Simmons? Right now, free safety to me is the biggest team need for this organization. They got the coaching connections in Joe Woods and also Brian Stark. He's a reliable veteran that has played multiple seasons, and he's been a phenomenal player over the past decade. He's got a lot of AFC West experience, which Mark Davis values, and we have the money to go out and do it. So quite frankly, I don't understand how and I don't understand why Justin Simmons isn't being talked about a little bit more, because if it was up to me, I would pick up the phone, I would call Simmons' agent, and I go, what is it going to take to get you into silver and black? Because I don't think it's going to cost you as much money as what people think. If Jair Alexander is out there on the open market getting $6 million to go to the Ravens, I get it, different position, a little bit of a different situation in general. Justin Simmons can help this football team win. And if we're sitting up here going, just win, baby, a good way to just win, baby, is go out and sign Justin Simmons. If you made it this far in the video and you agree with that, share it. I mean it. I think one of the things that we could do a better job here, myself included as the Raiders Report host, is asking for help and getting the word out there. So if you're a believer that you want Justin Simmons and he could be a better member here of this team and he's going to make this Raiders football team better, click that share button, tag me on Instagram, tag me on Twitter at Mitchell Renz 365. But at the end of the day, I care about winning football games, and Justin Simmons, I don't give a shit what anybody says, will help the Raiders win football games this season.